Again. Welcome to the Redvee TV Show, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2024 season. Get my head out the way. And on this episode, Kevin, we carry on with our player reviews. And this week, or this episode, we are going to concentrate on 11 to 15, which means we start with our number 11.
Are you waiting for me to say Sione Matala?
It's like the player previews. It's like the season never happened and we've just like skipped
if,
9 months.
if only I'd have known, we planned that. Oh no, we don't plan it. No, we never plan anything.
No.
Um, yeah, talking about Sione, this is nice and easy, isn't it? Before his injury, he was in the running for our Player of the Year, probably in the running for Dream Team. And unfortunately, that injury just took him out for a couple of games, and he's a massive miss. Um, Came back in, played a bit of centre, played a bit of second row, and I think bar the game at Lee, which was probably the worst game he had in a Saint shirt, where he was over trying, probably trying a little bit too much once he'd made an error or two. I think he's been absolutely fabulous for us, and last season was no exception.
No, it's mad to think that he's had 4 years with us. He just seems to have gone
Yeah,
in like the blink of an eye.
yeah,
Um, one of Saints' probably most loved imports in recent years.
yeah,
Um, and just fitted in so well with the whole ethos of the club, both on and off the field. Obviously, we know a few people who know him who said he's such a great bloke. Um, and he's going to be such a miss and a huge loss for us. Um,
yeah. How do you replace him? How do you replace someone who can do play at centre? Is he the best centre to play at the club? No. But when he's in that pack where he's played prop, he's played second row, and he's played loose forward, and he can play centre to a good standard, how do you replace someone like that? I don't think you can.
no. And he was just somebody who was always willing to put his hand up and, like we said, play wherever he was needed. And you'd always get Barley that level of performance where you can. It was one of those players you could pretty much always guarantee he's going to be a 7 out of 10
Yeah,
minimum.
at least. Yeah. Exactly. You knew that his level, his standards were so up there that that's what you're going to get. You weren't going to get a drop off in that. And as I say, with the league game, which we're probably unfairly focusing on because it didn't happen too long ago, um, it was probably that trying to make things right. So he made an error, so he tries to make it right and ends up going kind of the other way with it. I'm not remembering him for that game though. I'm remembering him for him coming over here and being that good of a player, that good of an import in Super League, that he was just tremendous. And I think if it wasn't for the whole family issue and how far they are away from family back in Australia, I think he'd have gone round again for us. But you've got to look after your family,
It's mad in
and you've
it.
got to do that by then.
Was he 28, 29? You probably get another 3 years out of him, minimum.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. Especially Super League, could have easily played even 4, 5, 6 years in Super League because he was of that level. But you, as I say, you've got to do right by your family.
You
You've got
do.
to. That's
But
what he's done.
we do have to say, if you get home, you're not keen on the sunshine and the way of life, you're more than welcome to come back to sunny St. Helens.
Yeah, I can almost see Sione being one of them that when you see the forums that go on, like through the year when you have a testimonial event or stuff like the Academy Tour to Australia. I can see Sione being one of them who comes over and gets involved in that. Or when the Academy Tour does go over to Australia, he'll be go making a move towards them and go seeing them and giving them little bits of advice, little bits of his knowledge. Um, I just see him as that type of person.
I do. And if he doesn't, we'll just say he's lazy.
Yeah, you can tell him
I will do from 10,000 miles away.
that.
Joe Batch, disappointment.
Yeah, but before we kind of go on, I was speaking to a good mate of mine who had been speaking to Joe, and Joe has been carrying an injury through the year. I think most players are especially when it comes to the business end. I'm not going to make that an excuse for everything, but it might be a reason why we didn't see the Joe Bachelor that we used to. I can't. I'm not going to kind of judge him for this because I am a bit heavy, but I think Joe put some size on. Whether it was to have to play a little bit more down the middle, but that just took away from what he can do and what we know that Joe Bachelor can do at second row. I kind of hope that the club decision is to get Joe Bachelor back to the best Joe Bachelor he can be, and not try and make him into a middle. Try and keep him as a second rower, because he's been brilliant for us since coming up from the Championship. He found his path into the first team. Didn't look like giving up the shirt, but yeah, I think disappointment with this season, 100%. I don't think you can get too far away from that.
Yeah, just want to echo it. It's almost like we weren't sure what we were doing. I think when we thought Sione wasn't going to be around and Parsi wasn't fit for half the year, it's almost like we panic because there was no props out there, and we
Possibly.
thought, right, we'll bulk Joe up, we'll play him prop this year, so we'll make him heavy. So put the weight on him, and then never played him there at prop at all. And then when he came back to fitness, I think he really struggled to get fit, and we took away everything that was good about Joe Bachelor. That being said, next year he's going to be moving into a contract year. Um, it's a big year for him for me. If the level of performance isn't an improvement on this season, you do have to question whether you would be offering him a new deal. There,
Yeah, well, that goes for quite a few players, but yeah, well, it's part of your regeneration of a squad as well. That there's going to be lads who are coming through the system who are going to be chomping at the bit for Joe Bachelor's shirt. There's going to be players like you think again, Joe Bachelor, Curtis Sirenen, Matt Whitley, all trying to work for them starting shirts where you're not just coming on and playing 15, 20, 25 minutes in a game, that you're doing the work. So he's got to step up in performance. I don't think there's an issue at all with attitude, and hopefully with an off season now that he can kind of rest and relax before he gets back into it. Hopefully it'll do his body good, and we can see, as I say, just the Joe Bachelor that we know he can be.
yeah.
The lad who can kind of dive into centre if you need him to for the last 20 minutes of a game. The lad who is like runs the lines, who can take the ball in, who will defend and defend and defend. And I think in his first game back, we weren't necessarily overwhelmed with his performance, and then found out he'd done 40 odd tackles or something ridiculous like
That
that.
was at Leeds, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at Leeds. And it's possibly that bit of the game that you don't, like the unshowy stuff, that it's not stuff that gets headlines too often. It's that bit of his game that is probably still there, but just kind of want to see that all-round game that we know he's got.
And I think that's where he gets the credit in the bank because you know he's more than capable of it.
Yeah,
We just need to see Joe Bachelor of 2022.
yeah.
Morgan Knowles.
Morgan only played 18 times for us this past season because of his injury that he'd been managing for a couple of years, and we just took him out, and I think it took longer than they anticipated for him to come back. As soon as he was back, to me, it solidified why he's the starting 13.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. And then he did have that kind of brave start against, was it Salford, where he absolutely banjoed someone on the last, give away the penalty, got banned for it. And you just think, he plays on the edge. He does play on the edge. But Morgan is so key to us. And I think we missed him greatly last year. Absolutely miss someone like that, a proper leader, someone who kind of just solidifies your defence, and someone who will do all the hard work. And I think, as I've said, when he came back in after his injury layoff, it to me says that's why he's the starting 13.
Yeah, and I know we mentioned it the other week, but there's almost an argument for him being captain. Now,
Yeah,
maybe this year might not be the year to do it, with it being a testimonial year. Um, I'm not wanting to put that weight on his shoulders as well. But he's the next captain in waiting, isn't he?
yeah, and I think that if Saints are clever, they could use him a bit more to kind of come forward, have that leadership group almost, and hear a bit more from him. I'm sure this makes him sound like he's doing it just because it's his testimonial, but it'd be good to see him and hear his voice a lot more. I think he's one of those who's kind of, a couple of years ago, he was always seen as that underrated person, and you didn't really hear too much from him. I think now's the time that we need to hear Morgan's voice. We want to hear what he thinks. We want to hear his take on how the game's gone. Why not get him involved that little bit more? Ease the pressure on the other leaders in that group.
I can't believe he's not. He's still well. He's only turning 28 in November.
Yeah,
You've
yeah,
got another 5, 6 good years in Morgs, and
yeah,
considering the testimonial year already, he's going to be another one who could be doing 16, 17 years in a Saints jersey.
yeah, definitely. As
Might
long
do
as
a
we don't,
Rogues, might do a Rogues and go for 20.
long as we don't see him at 9, David, that's absolutely fine by me.
Speaking of man who can play 9, it's our number 14, Moses and Bay.
With Moses was one of these players who he played 24 times, carrying an injury towards the end of the year that Paul Wellens alluded to, and he needed the odd game or two off. I think there's only one game where I thought his distribution out of 9 was a little bit laboured, a little bit slow. And apart from that, I think he's so almost key to us. Dropping in at 7, being able to play 9, doing a bit at 13 as well. You need a Moses and Bay in your squad. That and he did our work for him as well, and was great at that. So.
He's just an all-round solid model professional. And I think
Yes,
they spoke about him at the awards night, didn't he? When did he get the This Is Saints award, was it?
wasn't that
No,
Sione got?
sorry, he got like a club award, didn't he?
Yes, yeah,
It was the yeah, he got an award for just for the way he is off the pitch. I can't think of what the award's called. It'll come to me. Um, Go on, keep
Club
talking, Kev.
Wellbeing Ambassador.
Yes,
Club Wellbeing Ambassador. He got.
there you go.
Yeah, giving up his free time to help the development, supporting and working with the St Helens women's team. And he's done it alongside completing a diploma in project management in Australia, and pursued work experience with one of the club sponsors while playing. He's a proper all-rounder.
That's a long distance course, isn't it?
It is.
Listen, when you say you need a Moses and Bay in your squad, there is an argument there that could you find someone like that who isn't taking up a quota spot, but
Mm.
that's probably a different argument. But Moses again hasn't been an issue for me in this squad this year. I've seen criticisms of him. I think people have been hitting out at the wrong people.
Yeah,
You know what you're going to get from Moses week in, week out. It's a level of performance that is going to guide you around the park. And yeah,
yeah.
solid.
It's experience, and to be fair, those who didn't like Lewis Dodd's kicks to touch were more enthused by Moses because they went longer.
There you go. Next up, James Bell.
Yeah,
Gets it off the bench,
James,
I'm going to say.
yes. As we've just said with Morgan Knowles, that's why he starts at 13. I feel when James comes on, he gives you that energy and it just doesn't stop. But it's great when compared to the rest of the pack who's been playing for 20, 25 minutes. It's not criticism at all. I think some players are just better suited to being an impact player, and he is that. Another one who absolutely no issues with this year, available. 26 games he's played for us this year, I think, according to the website. Again, no issues. You know what you're getting out of James Bell. You know that he's going to bring energy, and when he's not bringing energy, you're looking thinking, what's wrong with him? Because he'll get involved. He's a great link-up player. He plays slightly different to Morgan. That it feels like he's another kind of pivot on the pitch. It's not like he's just a battering ram where occasionally the ball will go out. He tends to look for his halfbacks. But yeah, again, another lad who has been available. One of the best abilities that you can have, or that we could have this year. Yeah, another a decent year from James.
Doesn't pick up injuries and doesn't pick up bans.
Yeah. You need someone you need players who are going to be available more often than they're not.
Yeah.
And he's been there.
26 appearances this year, 31 the year before. Again, not an issue. Solid year, yeah. Quite happy with him.
Yes.
There is your whistle stop player review for those 5.
Are you just calling everything a whistle stop now?
It's my word of the day.
Is it? Right, okay.
What's this? Whistle stop. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll catch you again during the week.